Hey guys, Brian here, and welcome back to this old barn shop. Maybe I can finally start calling it a shop now. This is a milestone episode. If you look behind me, you'll see that the walls are all completed. The structure has finished being altered and repaired, and everything's square and as it should be. We got the headers replaced up there with salvage boards from the original barn. Made that easy because they were already cut and notched and everything just like they were supposed to be, and all I had to do was take my jacks and I screwed that 2x4 to the roof and run 2x4s up off my toe jacks, jacked the roof up, got the weight off, slid them in and screwed them down and got that all in. All the walls up, around. See that back wall, you can see down at the bottom there's no light coming through, but there's light coming through the rest of the way up. But there's no gaps, so my overlap's working. I just haven't gone back and re-screwed all that since the wood shrunk. This side over here is starting to shrink a little bit. You can see a little light coming through down here on this end. So as it all dries out, it's still super humid right now, so it's not doing much for drying out this wood. But once it gets dried out, I'll be able to go back over and screw everything down tight and get most all those gaps filled up. Doesn't take much for light to come through, so just a very small crack will let that in. But it's looking good. It's nice to finally be done with the structure part. No more jacking, straightening, pulling. Everything's square and true. Still might redo this wall over here. You can see through the wall and the gaps in it. It's where I didn't leave enough overlap to begin with. Those boards shrunk, so I'll probably go back and drop some of those down, add a board in that wall at some point in time. But we'll worry about that later. For now, it's good enough to be able to start getting machines in here and get to working on things. That was the whole purpose of this, was to be able to get my boring mill up and going and my big VMC in here. So, got two projects coming up next on this. One is I gotta do something about the wiring. The last little bit here I had to do on the extension cord because the original barn wires are all gone that were over in there. And, I got my big panel and switch over here for the phase converter and the feed into the shop for all the lights and everything. So I gotta get that wired in, but I got wiring down here to the barn that's big enough size because what exists isn't right now. So I gotta run wires up to the house. So that's gonna be a pretty big and expensive job getting that big wire run up there, probably 500 MCMs. What's that's going to be? So I think I've got enough room I can bury it and I can get out on the outside of the foundation and go down and run it out, and I won't have to have a pole off the side of the building, and I can get rid of that pole if I bury it in the ground, clean this out up here, make it a little easier to get through there. So won't have those wires hanging out. I'll be able to do away with all that. I never used it. I just put it up there because I thought that was what I was gonna do. Now I'm gonna take a page out of Keith Rucker's playbook and I'm gonna put another panel over here to feed this side of the shop, and then it'll just be one big heavy run over the top to the main panel over there to feed it, because this building's so tall, The total wire to run from like an outlet over there at ground level up over the top and back down is like 75 feet. So be able to save a lot of lengths of run of wire by doing it in 2 panels, and it gives you more breaker spots and outlets and everything too, so that you don't have to worry about any of that. So well, as luck would have it, UPS just showed up and brought my other electrical panel in that box. So put that in there and be able to work on this wiring over here. And the other thing is to clean up all this lumber, move a bunch of those tuba tins down there up on top of the loft, get them out of the way until I start building the roof in here. I want to get on working on this floor, getting all my tubes laid and getting ready to start pouring the concrete, because I'm going to end up pouring the concrete in 4 pours probably. I'll divide off in between each post and do it in 4 stages. That way I got enough here I can work, plus I can pull the concrete trucks up here to the door, and there's chutes long enough that they'll be able to shoot this entire area here pretty much. So I'm going to have to drag and move a whole bunch of concrete so I can get in here with a 16-foot screed all this off and get it flat and level and in good shape. So let's take a walk around the barn and you can see what it looks like from the outside now. Those of you that have followed this project for a long time will remember what all this started looking like. Versus where we are now. The big humps are gone out of the roof. They used to be up there where the inside of the barn was taller than the outside of the barn, because you know some of this has been raised up 2+ feet, 3 feet maybe even. It was a lot. This corner here started out down there at ground level. So that's a pretty big wall there. You can see the ends of the crane sticking out there where I left those C channels, just in case I might should ever decide to make the barn longer. But if I do that, it's going to be a bit of an adventure, because the power lines run through here, so they'd have to get rerouted, because the barn's tall enough that if it was back here, it'd be hitting those lines. And that's all the wood that's been ripped out of there, pallets and things. Most of that'll probably get burned. Some of it's still good, and I may try and reuse, repurpose, but mostly scrap lumber. Just like all the cut off pieces from building this back wall. But I was able to save the roof over here, keep my little porch area. That's all oak horse stall lumber that I tore out. Might use some of that inside, along with the big poplar boards, cutting them down to do some siding inside, because it's what I've got, so it's free pretty much. I don't have to go buy it, and the buying fundage is getting low after putting all this siding on and doing all the framework and all that. We're approaching our $20,000 building budget. The time I used $10,000 worth of concrete, so you know I've almost spent $10,000 on this barn so far. But that's not too bad. I have a 40 by 60 building, 14-foot clear inside for $10,000 bucks. That's not too bad. You know, the concrete's going to be expensive mainly just because it's going to be so thick. Most people don't have floors that heavy, but most people don't have 40,000 pound machines to sit on top of them. So I think the repurposing has turned out well. And here's the other side, and you can see my parts truck in there. That was the donor for doing the crew cab, what I took the engine and harness and dash and everything out of in order to repower my 84 and make it a diesel. So got the wall all in underneath the roof up there. It's like somebody just decided to screw this onto the side, and it's got lag screws that go into each of the 2x10s and go all the way through that 2x4 and the siding and screw into the 2x10 about 4 inches. So it's plenty secure, not going to fall down off there. That upper roof is steep enough that snow and stuff doesn't really accumulate on it anyway. It just slides off. It's hard enough to stand on, so no way snow can stay on it once it gets slick. So now I got this wave all out where the brace was bad. I can get up there and screw that piece of tin down before it gets blowed loose. So, but the roof line looks pretty good considering how it started out. I managed to get the building back square, which was quite the challenge. But being a machinist, you get pretty picky about that kind of thing. So, you know, you want everything to be right. Carpenters, they just skip it. So that's within a ½ inch over 60 feet. That's close enough. But, you know, for machinists, they like it better than that. So here's the old panel. It's not hot. It's turned off at the house, so you don't have to worry about it. But all this will be gone. There'll be no wires in front of the door. And when I run it inside to the sub panel, that'll get rid of all that. And then that's a safety issue you won't have to deal with trucks coming in here and anybody getting into that power line, because it won't be there anymore. So also there won't be any power lines in front of my beautiful barn or shop. You know, when it says blocks heavy machine up there over top of the door, won't be any power lines blocking it off. So days when the door's open, people will be able to come in here and just pull up there and they'll see that big 15-ton crane sitting there. But I guess that's the tour. Happy with the way that the structure's turned out. It's been a lot of work for sure, but it looks good. So onto the floor and electric, and then I can start moving machines in, and that'd be nice. So thanks for watching, and thanks for subscribing. I'll talk to y'all later.